there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to make a side step card, actually a center step card. Hopefully my little elements are glued on there. Well, when you stand up like that, you actually have this kind of three-dimensional stuff going on here. If you see through the side there, there's these little little step outs on the edge of the card that allow you to have a couple different levels to decorate, and it just gives you a little bit more dimension without using really any more supplies. So I'm going to show you how to make a basic center step out card, and then we'll do some of these other fun techniques as well. I'm using stamps today by Lost Coast Designs. Alright, the first thing you want to do is grab a piece of paper. I'm using a 6" by 12" just because the measurements are a little easier to kind of figure out while you're doing it, but you can alter it to whatever size you want to work on. And you're going to want a scoring board. It makes it a lot more helpful. If not, you could always just go online and find a pattern for a step card, and that would work too. Alright, so what I have here is my paper, and obviously, actually I'm going to turn my paper this way in my score pal, and I'm going to make a score line between, I'm going to make it 1 inch in and 1 inch down on my paper, and I'm going to score from the 1 inch area right there. Did I get it right? Oh, I don't feel like I'm in the groove. There we go. All the way down to approximately 7 inches, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. But so here I'm at like 5. I'm just kind of eyeballing it down to about 1 inch, and I'm going to just score down till I'm at about 7 inches again. Okay, nothing real scientific about this. This is going to be your cut line, but we're scoring it now, so you don't even have to worry. If you scored a little bit over, it's not going to be the end of the world. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is turn it so that our score lines are from here to here, and this is where our number 1 is, and we're going to score from the 1 inch mark, right from the edge, up to our score line, our first score line, and we're going to do the same thing on this end. So we've scored 1 inch in from the edge of our card into our score line, and do the same thing at 2 inches. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing up here at 7 inches. And then in between the two score lines at 6 inches, we're going to score from just from those two lines, those two first lines. So I'm out of the groove there. There we go. Alright, so then our score lines, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, if I'm just trying to catch the light just right so you can see it. So we've got score lines here at 7 inches, at 6 inch in between our first two score lines. Then we got at 1 inch and at 2 inch on either side of our first score lines. Now those first score lines we're actually going to cut out, so I'm going to bring my score mat here, and I'm going to use an X-Acto knife and a ruler to cut those lines. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So you're just cutting from that 1 inch score line to the 7 inch score line. So if you overscored, you know, those first two lines, that's no big deal. Just start and stop at the first and last score lines that are going the opposite way. Hope this makes sense. It makes sense in my head, but sometimes when I try to explain it, it does not come out as well. There we go. Okay, so now this is what we have. Okay, so what you're going to do on these score lines at 7 inches, you're just going to fold them like that. Okay, and at this top score line in the middle, you're going to fold like that. And then down here, the 2 inch score lines, you're going to fold back, and then the 1 inch ones you're going to fold forward. So you end up with this really cute stepper card, and look, it's so easy. It didn't really take you much longer than, making a regular card. Well, it's a little bit more complicated than folding a piece of cardstock in half, but hey, I think it's kind of cool. Now, to make this center panel here, which is really kind of fun, we're actually going to stamp on some glossy cardstock. Now, this isn't the best impression. This is one of my throwaway pieces, but I actually tried doing this video before, and it was just, I had no plan really for the card, so I spent way too much time just kind of pushing paper around, which was not exciting or worth watching whatsoever. So I decided I would scratch that and try it again after I figured out what the heck I was doing, which is kind of new. Figure out what the heck you're doing and then make a video about it. I've got some ultramarine blue paint here, and what I'm doing is just kind of like a little twilight, dusky color scheme. And this is glossy cardstock, but go ahead and try photo paper if that's what you have. Photo paper will dry a little bit quicker, but I really don't think it's going to make that much of a difference for this technique. You just won't be able to work your paint as much, but I think you're going to be fine. Don't Don't ever not do a project because you don't have the exact same thing I'm using. That's counterproductive. You know, you'll never know if it will work until you try it. I've got a little mauve I'm mixing into my blue and adding it in there. And look, I'm not paying any attention, really. I'm just trying to leave the birch trees white. And if you make a mistake, if you're using regular glossy paper, like Chrome Coat or Judykins or Stampin' Up! Or whatever, you can go in with a wet paper towel. No, a wet Q-tip. Paper towel would work, but it would take out more than you wanted. And you can just kind of wipe away any mistakes. It's totally easy. And I needed to re-ink my stamp pad, I realized after I stamped that, so that's why my that's why the image isn't that crisp. It is no fault of the stamp at all. I just didn't want to waste this paper since I'm not going to be using, I'm just using it for a demo here, but I'll show you again on the other one I did. As you can see, after I inked my stamp pad, my stamp came out nice and crisp, and this is by Lost Coast Designs. You can find it on the new page of their rubber stamp catalog at lostcoastdesigns.com, and I'll put a link below so you can check that out. Alright, so there we have this, and if you want it to fit on that stepper, you might need to trim it down. This is a quarter sheet, so it's about a 1/4 of an inch too big, so I need to trim this down to about 4 inches, and I think I want to trim it kind of evenly. But if you have, like, you know, a mistake or something you don't like about your thing you painted, you can just chop it right off. Or stick a bird on it, or stick a button on it, or embellish it somehow. Remember, you know, it's your card. Nobody ever has to know you made a mistake on something. That's my theory anyway. Chop that right off. That's 4. I forget how easy it is to use an X-Acto knife and a straight edge sometimes. It's like, wow, we get all these fancy tools and this works so well. Oh, and that noise would be a pile, a random pile falling over in my craft room because it is just chaos. Chaos here. In fact, you probably couldn't even see what I just cut because it's chaos, I tell you. Alright, so, you know, there we go. We have that. If we want to put it on our step card, like so. Okay, so you could just adhere that down. Why don't I adhere it down? Why not? I wasn't intending on making 2 cards, but yeah, why not? I got my supplies right out. Might as well. I could send 1 card to a magazine in hopes they might publish it. I'm not going to hold my breath. And then if you want to put some kind of like foreground here, a nice thing to do, I gotta zoom out. I'm off the camera half the time here. Is you could just cut with your X-Acto knife just some you know, just cut some little hills like that, and you know, use some foam tape to adhere it down. You just kind of figure out exactly how you want to place everything. And I usually put my bottom layer down with double-sided tape, and then I can trim off the excess. Don't worry if it hangs over a bit. And oh, I should ink that edge because it's really not going to show up very well. Maybe I'll use, I don't know, I wonder how that would show up. I like these metallic rub-ons. They're kind of fun. They're by Craft Tea Products. I don't know if they make them anymore. I got mine scrapbooking quite some time ago when I used to go crop every week before all the stores went out of business. So sad. Alright, so little foam dimensional here. Or you could use hot glue, you know, just let it cool a little bit before you stick it down, and that will give you a little dimension as well. Or whatever you like to use for dimension. Alright, and so when I have a situation like this, I just flip it over because it's really easy to see your the overhang bits of your front layers when you flip it over, and then just trim off any excess. Alrighty. And that really still isn't very dark. I think I'm just gonna my fingers are so filthy right now. I'm just gonna use a Q-tip maybe, see if I can pick up a little. And I'm putting something, yeah, you know what I mean. Maybe I can even, just because it's raised a little bit. And I'm really, you know, obviously, you should do this before you glue it down. I really have no high hopes for this card, so, whatever. Okay, hell of a tutorial, isn't it, guys? Oh my gosh, I said that on there. Sorry about that. Okay, moving right along. Okay, so for the tree in my card, you have that little tree die cut. What I did was I had this tree. I die cut. It was something I got at Big Lots on clearance, and then I took my metallic rub-ons and I just kind of went over the edges a little bit neater than this. I had a little too much on my finger. But then the tree itself didn't really fit my needs, keeping it whole. So when I just couldn't figure out where I wanted to put it. Now on this one it might be alright because I could actually leave it hanging out like that, and that looks kind of cool. But for the other card, I actually just took my knife and I slit it, and then I put half on one side and half on the other. So that worked out pretty well. The birds, which I stamped on vellum and embossed with black embossing powder, those are from Lost Coast Designs as well. It's a Murder of Crows is the name of the set. Now for adhering them, because adhesive will show through on vellum, what I did was I left a little tab on the feet so that I could glue it that way, and I have one that I haven't stuck down yet. If I can find it, that'll be fabulous, and I'll show you exactly how I do that. Let me pause it because I know I'm never going to find it if I leave the camera rolling. Found it! So you can see on my hand probably, I left a little bit of vellum by the foot so that I could put some glue on that and put it wherever I want. Maybe I want him up here in the moon here on this card, kind of up on that tree branch. I can get that little tab underneath there, and then I can perch him in right like that. I kind of like that. I might actually be able to put a little glue under the black embossing area, but I didn't want to have to count on that, so I'm going to put a little bit of just a tiny drop of glue on that little tab, and I can do it on both sides. And I typically don't use this glue for a card making. This is Gorilla Super Glue Gel, but I had it on my table from a jewelry project I was just doing. And I do know it's going to hold. So it does take a little bit longer to dry than some glues, but yeah, I know it's going to hold here. So, and I've got some, vellum is not the easiest thing to glue, and I've got some, you know, of that metallic rub-on stuff. I just want to make sure that it's gonna stay stuck. So there is that card. We finally got there. I'm gonna move my scoring board here so that you can take a look at it against a neutral background, because it's kind of distracting and cluttered at the moment, like the entire room here. But I think it's kind of fun and kind of cute, and I like the watercolor on the glossy cardstock. Thought that might be something you'd like to try, and also, you know, using some metallic pastes on your die cuts just to bring out some of the embossing. It's just kind of just fun new techniques, or maybe new to you, maybe they're old. And I also wanted to show you how to make that fun step card like that. I don't want to move this too much because I know that that bird isn't dry yet. But there you have it. The stamps are from Lost Coast Designs. You can find them at lostcoastdesigns.com, or check out underneath the video for a link. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If so, give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any other videos. Thanks for stopping by, and until next time, happy crafting.